evening and welcome to QI, where tonight's theme is killers. And our keen knologists, look it up, are the menacing Jason Manford, the merciless Sandy Toksvig, the murderous Trevor Noah, and the mostly harmless Alan Davies. So, let's hear their homicidal death knells. Sandy goes... just once. Jason goes... Trevor goes... and Alan goes...
Killing me softly.
Well, it was common in the Second World War, death by flak. So, name the world's second best hunter.
I mean, human beings must be the first, surely. We get rid of entire species without any trouble at all.
Which one is that? Do you recognise him?
Hemingway.
Hemingway, that's Hemingway, who was mad on hunting. And man is indeed the most efficient. We wipe out whole species.
Yes. So who's second?
Sharks.
Killer whale.
I would skip...
Killer whale is the right answer.
Very good. He got it in his name. That's how successful he is. He even called himself a killer.
He's even got the word killer in his name, you're right. And the point about the killer whale is, firstly, that they're misnamed, that it was the Spanish name for them, which we misinterpreted as killer whale. They're actually whale killers. They kill whales.
Oh.
I've seen a documentary where they pursued a mother and a baby...
Grey whale.
for hundreds of miles.
Up the coast of California, probably.
2 or 3 of them. And eventually they get too tired to fend them off, and then they eat the baby whale.
I know, the point is they act in packs. And they're not whales.
They're people.
Oh, yeah.
You can only tell almost from the arcing leap that he's making.
Dolphins.
It's a dolphin. They're
Dolphin.
dolphins. They're dolphins that really, really are very intelligent. And they have an amazing way of attacking their prey. And apart from whales, they're particularly fond of a juicy...
Seals, they eat.
Yeah, they love their seals. But what's so impressive is the technique they use, and
Well,
also how
they beach themselves, don't they? They actually...
That's one way, is they actually get them on land, yeah. But there's an even more impressive way, which is they try and tilt the little ice flow that the seals will be on.
Knock them off.
Knock them off. And if the ice flow's too big, they line up in a row with a leader who sort of blows a signal. The young ones watch, and they sort of check that the young ones are watching, so they learn the technique. And then line abreast, they charge the ice flow, creating a bow wave, which goes over the ice flow, so the seal falls off. We can show you that. But here they are. There's the line of them, and there's the wave is going to go right over the... Woof! Oh. Knock the poor thing off. Oh. It's very cunning.
And sad.
And sad, it's true.
Clever.
But damn, it's clever. Also, as you rightly said, they do attack on land. That's to say, they come precariously close to beaching themselves.
They're always in disguise, then, aren't they? They wear hats and scarves.
They look like lifeguards.
2 of them stand on each other's shoulders with a long
We can
coat.
see them doing it, actually. We've got a little bit of footage of... the attack of the orca on the poor old... the seals think we're safe now. Oh, no. Oh. But oh. Well, it's in there somewhere. Oh, there we go.
You should voice over more wildlife documentaries.
That one got to work. Bizarrely enough, I did voice over one called Ocean Giants, which was about dolphins and whales. Yeah, precisely. But fortunately, it wasn't quite such a vague script.
I did a show for BBC called Walk on the Wild Side.
Oh, yes, I did
And
one
you played a panda, I think, that was overeating or something. And we also had Sir Tom Jones do one. And everyone, like yourself, we just sent them the script, and, you know, it takes 2 minutes just to record it and send it back in. And Tom Jones, he just got a phone call one day in the studio, and he said, I've been sent this script. You want me to play a lion? I was like, yeah, that's right. He went, I don't really like lions. I was like, what? And I said, well, we're recording tomorrow. I said, is there any animal you prefer? He went, I'm a big fan of the penguin. And I had like 24 hours to write a penguin sketch. And,
Did it sing, the penguin? Did you get it to sing?
No, it was a penguin.
Finish with it.
Well, there you are, killer whales. They're not whales, but they are killers. Now, how can a bottle of whiskey save your life?
Oh. Well, in a fight, I'm assuming.
Is it the bottle or the contents?
It's the contents. Ingestion of whiskey.
Well, if you suffered trauma and you've got ethanol in your system, presumably you're going to be better off. Presumably...
Shut up! How did you know that?
Because I've had a lot of trauma while drunk.
You're absolutely right. There was a documented case where it was literally a bottle of whiskey. There was a New Zealand chef called Duthie who went on a vodka binge, and he went blind. He was literally blind drunk. They think it was because he was on diabetic medication, and that this basically turned it all into formaldehyde, which can cause blindness, as well as preserving you very nicely. And the usual thing is to put someone on an ethanol drip. They didn't have any medical ethanol in this particular hospital, but they did have an offie, so they went and got a bottle of Johnny Walker Black Label, and they put him on a drip, and 5 days later he woke up with sight fully restored.
Wow.
On a whiskey drip.
It was a whiskey drip, literally a bottle of whiskey.
Sounds like a good name for a pub, doesn't it?
I think it's effective, but if you have an accident or a serious injury and you're drunk at the time, you're probably more likely to recover than if you are...
Shut up again! Do you sneak into my dressing rooms and look at my cards?
I know this. I wrote a play, which is a lot about soldiers and how they deal with things. And some of the soldiers who were intoxicated in the time of the battle did better. They recovered better.
Well, you're absolutely right. Did you know this?
I always knew about the ragdoll effect. If you have the alcohol, and then if you fall or if you're in a car accident, because you don't brace, then it's the same as a baby. If you drop babies, they're fine. They just... So if you're drunk, that's why you recover quicker, because you just don't brace, and then it just goes through you.
And you'll probably end up in more situations where you're likely to get hurt.
That is true.
You get other injuries. You get other DRIs, don't you? Drink-related injuries.
DRIs? I like the fact you know that. That's a bit exciting. We've got Mr Davis presenting with a DRI again.
A friend who had a great DRI where he managed to get home against all odds and then fell asleep against the radiator. A nasty burn on his arm he had.
there was like a practical joke that kids did when I was growing up, which was to fill a ball, football, up with cement, for example, you know, from somebody's garden.
Oh, wow.
You fill a football and leave it outside a pub, and drunk men cannot resist. Jesus! They just can't resist the football. I want this one, Dave! It's a hell of a practical joke,
You put a goalpost on the wall.
This is extraordinary. All I have to do is fill in the dots here. It was Lee Friedman of the University of Illinois at Chicago who spent 14 years examining this effect. He analysed the blood alcohol of 190,000 trauma patients. He found that with the exception of burns, death rates from all types of traumatic injury fell as blood alcohol levels rose. Which is extraordinary, isn't it?
190,000 seems like an enormous
It's a big
number
cohort, as they would say, isn't it? Exactly, which makes it quite a respected study. Amongst the extremely drunk, mortality rates were cut by nearly 50%. Gunshot and stab victims, however, showed the greatest benefit, which wouldn't be the ragdoll effect, I don't suppose.
There's some kind of anaesthetic element to it.
There is the anaesthetic element as well, which I suppose makes you behave less dramatically in a way that increases blood flow.
I'm bleeding, you just think, you think, oh, look at that.
Oh, no. Too short! I better just have it short. Then I have to go to the hospital. We're so busy on a weekend.
One more Jaeger bomb couldn't do anything.
Come on, let's go to the hospital. They got a bar there. Have a bar there.
Hopsital.
I'm fine. I've been shot. I'm fine.
Amongst drivers, however, you were 2 to 4 times more likely to die in a car crash, or of a car crash, as it were, involved in a car crash. But I think you've covered everything quite brilliantly. There's the ragdoll effect, and there seems to be an improvement in recovery from trauma. So if you think you're going to get shot or stabbed, get drunk first. Now, you use a silver bullet for...
Vampires.
You could try it on a vampire. I don't think it'd do any good. It's got to be a werewolf.
All silver does. All the silver.
Oh, is silver good for vampires?
Yeah, silver's good for vampires.
Are these real now?
Very knowledgeable about this.
The reality of vampire. Because part of the myth was that the silver came from the coins that Judas got. You remember?
Yes, 30 pieces.
The first vampire came from Judas when he hung himself after Jesus.
Did he turn into a vampire?
Well, they say Judas became the first vampire, and then the silver burns them because that's what they gave Judas to betray. He got the silver pieces, so that's why it's silver for all of them. But you want a bullet for a wolf because they fast. Vampires, just the gun is useless. So.
Well, that's covered the vampire side of the question quite perfectly. But a square bullet, on the other hand, these don't need to be silver. Against whom would...
I think this is a very old gun, and I think it's something politically incorrect. Is that
Again, you've been... I'm going to test my cards for your DNA.
I'm slightly distracted because that so looks like a woman I went out with, but... Every morning I'd say the word orthodontist.
I don't think any man would ask for oral sex from that particular weapon. I think that would be a risk. Yeah. You're right, it was designed in the early part of the 18th century, back in 1780.
Turks.
Turks.
But most specifically Muslims, I think. And the square bullet was, I think, show them how great Christianity was. I think that was the kind of plan behind the square bullet. There was a specific gun.
It was. It's called the Puckle gun.
Puckle gun, James Puckle.
James Puckle invented it in 1718, and his idea was that you use the round bullets for Christians, and the square bullets were for the Ottoman Turks.
That's a good idea, the square bullet, because if you drop one, it won't roll away.
There is, however, a bad side to it. You can't rifle a square bullet, and it's the rifling that gives it accuracy through the air.
Oh, so they're a bit
it
rubbish,
makes
the
it
square bullets.
spin and go fast. Yeah, it would just go wobble, 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 wobble.
So if you were a Turk or a Muslim, you'd be encouraging the square bullet.
Actually, you would.
I think you should definitely use the square ones on
Yes,
that.
exactly. It was supposed to show the benefits of Christianity. In fact, it showed the further deficiency of James Puckle's ideas of aerodynamics and rifling.
You might hit a Christian.
You might actually hit a Christian. It's not really right to call it the first machine gun, but it was 3 times faster to load and fire than the current musket. It was 9 rounds a minute, which wasn't bad for 1718.
It's interesting because I guess technically the first bulletproof vests were created by the Zulus when they were fighting the British. Shaka discovered that if you dip your leather shield in water before you go into battle, then the pellets couldn't penetrate.
Is it really? Was that? It
Yeah,
hardened the leather that much?
and that's how the Zulus could kill so many. Because what would happen is they only needed 1 bullet, and then they would advance so quickly that then they would kill 5 or 6 British people before they could reload.
Do you have Zulu blood in you?
I do.
you
I
from
guess
that
yes, because I mean Xhosa people are of the
you're
Zulus.
Xhosa. Oh, do that
yes,
again. I
I'm half
love that.
Xhosa.
Oh, do it again.
So,
Oh, I
Xhosa,
love
Xhosa.
that.
I can't do that.
I love that.
It's given as an exclamation mark, isn't it?
No, that's the
it.
X. So there's the 3 clicks. There's the X, which is the, and then there's the Q, and then there's the C, which is. So those are the 3 different. So that's the.
You've seduced me.
Oh, thank you.
Not that you wanted to, I'm sure.
What was that wonderful... Was it Miriam Makeba? Who's
Yes,
that?
the click song.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the song. Yeah, so the Xhosas were technically they were basically pacifists of the Zulus. They were you know they were chased out. They separated from the tribe, so they
Right.
weren't as like the Zulus
The
were really
very
our proud.
martial,
In terms of military, they are our pride and joy. They are.
With the assegais.
Yeah, everything they did was revolutionary. Just like the first they were the first ones with the shortened spear. So Shaka invented a spear that was quicker to stab with and not as cumbersome to
Right, like
to
a sort of
lug around.
javelin,
Yes,
yeah.
Because the spear hadn't really been changed over all those years, and he
So he
changed
adapted.
He changed everything. He was one of the best military.
Yeah.
You know, you guys. If it wasn't for the guns, you guys wouldn't be here.
I know, we wouldn't have.
Just do that bit of singing again.
With the
Just do that bit of singing again.
oh, that's the
See,
song.
you don't know me well, Trevor, but I'm on the turn, I'm telling you.
You remember what Jason and Alan left to seduce, Trevor? I have to say.
He's a cracking fella.
We're all... Well, there you go. That's your man Puckle. And again, well done, Sandy. Knowledge, just amazing. Now, describe the curriculum at the British Hate Training Academy.
Oh dear.
Like we
Watching Jeremy Kyle all day and all night.
Yeah, that would
That would be good hate training.
It would actually, wouldn't it?
I would imagine that maybe it's very difficult to get soldiers to
Kill.
hate anybody.
Yeah.
I would imagine maybe there was some scheme to
We
try
had
and
hate
get them.
schools. In the Second World War, we had hate schools.
Has there ever been a more pointless padlock in the world?
You're not getting my shirts! Back off! It's a pretty astonishing look, isn't it? Yeah. But no, Sandy, you're right. There were hate schools. These medals are sticking into my chest! Oh, God! All of them are pinning me in the chest! My hat is too small! Get me a new hat!
What do you suppose the chances are of twins getting the same number of medals?
It's a good point.
Do you know, I've gone deaf in my left ear.
Back to the serious and terrible fact is that in order, supposedly, to encourage British troops of the Second World War, we put them into rooms and showed them appalling atrocities. Rotting corpses, starving people. They were then taken to slaughterhouses where they watched sheep being killed and they were smeared with their blood.
This
and
was common, though, wasn't it? Because they didn't they say to the Viet Cong that the US Marines ate babies? That kind
Oh, it was certainly true that this black propaganda was given out. You know, in the First World War, we had Germans raped nuns and all that. But this was actually being made to witness really awful things in order to get your blood up, was the idea. But when the papers and the public found out, there was an absolute uproar. No less a figure than the Bishop of St Albans said the attempt to inculcate hatred in the fighting forces and civilians is doing the devil's work. And General Sir Bernard Paget, who was Commander-in-Chief of the Home Forces, he agreed. He said that hate was foreign to British temperament, and we hate it.
But it is a very serious issue. I think it was after the Second World War. They estimated only between 15 and 20% of anybody in any armed force had ever fired their gun.
Yeah.
Because mostly people don't want to, and if they do fire their gun, they tend to try and miss.
Yes.
They very famously said the most gentlemanly fighters in the wars were the Air Forces, because they almost had an unspoken rule that they wouldn't shoot a plane that's already going down. Yeah. And you wouldn't shoot a guy in a parachute either. You would,
no,
he's down, he's out, so you wouldn't...
Never do that. And if it was a good fight, and you respected them and they were going down, they would do a little wingtip salute as they flew away from them, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that'd be like, oh, that's nice.
Anyway, which is most dangerous? 1,000 bananas, half a litre of wine, 1.4 cigarettes, or 2 days in New York?
You could fall on quite a lot of those banana peels.
Yes, you call spiders inside.
Yes, they could have a tarantula inside, yeah.
Well, they're all quite dangerous, I suppose.
They're all, in fact, we know that they're all equally dangerous. And how can we know that? Is there a scale of dangerousness?
Was the banana cigarette New York scale that they generally use?
That's the scale.
Is it about toxins that you absorb or take in?
Well, it is a professor from Stanford called Ronald Howard, as long as it's not the guy who was in Happy Days, and directed Apollo 13. It was in 1968 he developed the micromort. And a micromort is a 1 in a million chance of death. So the higher the risk, the more micromorts, obviously. So if 1 million outings on a hang glider result in 8 deaths, then there's a fatal risk of 8 micromorts attached to hang gliding.
So how many micromorts in a banana?
Well, I'll tell you. If you take the normal background risk in the UK, it's actually 41.6 micromorts. So the chances of sudden death in Britain from leading a normal life are about 4 in 100,000.
What, 4 people die unexpectedly from eating a banana?
No, just that's background. This is just background. We're not come to the bananas yet.
Sorry, I'm overexcited.
Yeah. Your ordinary risk of dying suddenly is 4 in 100,000.
I've got it now.
Right, but activities that raise the level of risk... Have you done suddenly?
I died suddenly.
There you are. Activities that raise the level of risk from 41.6 micromorts, which is the average risk we all share, by 1 micromort alone, are smoking 1.4 cigarettes yourself, living for 2 months with someone else who smokes, half a litre of wine...
Not doing a wee when you really need one.
1,000 bananas is actually because they're radioactivity. They do contain a lot of potassium. They are faintly radioactive.
Wow.
Very faintly. 40 tablespoons of peanut butter.
So, I'm still on the bananas. You have to... You have to eat 1,000 bananas.
If you ate 1,000 bananas, not necessarily all at once, because that would kill you straight away.
Yes.
You'll burst. The point is, for every 1,000 bananas you eat, your chances of sudden death increase by 1 micromort.
What does that matter with scientists? Who is going to eat 1,000 bananas? Why would you eat a lifetime?
Yeah, you don't know.
Over your lifetime, I've eaten 1,000 bananas.
Yeah, I reckon about it.
So should you be counting how many bananas you've had? No.
It's only 1 micromort. It's a 1 in a million chance.
But how does the 1,000th banana kill
Because of
you?
the level of radioactivity. For every 1,000 you eat, you already got 41.6 micromorts.
I feel unwell.
I'll give you a book to read afterwards.
Thank
you can explain it.
Go to New York, have a cigarette with a glass of wine and a banana split.
Fuck you, world!
All of these increase they're such tiny margins, that's all.
I'm going down.
My headmistress at boarding school was always in a terrible panic about fruit.
Fruit?
Fruit, yes, she found that... She spent hours teaching us how to eat a banana correctly, and because of the manners. And I remember her saying...
We mustn't make the cheeks spread. And you don't do this either. So she taught you how to eat
she was very worried, and I remember saying, because she'd spent a long time on bananas, and I said, well, how do you eat an orange? And she looked over the top of her glasses and said, no young woman should ever embark upon an orange.
Wise words. Anyway, yes, micromorts. Now, here are some killers, but what do they prey on? I'll perhaps give you a clue, if you don't know. Its name?
Seafood, that's a seal.
It is, it's called the crab-eater seal.
It is
So the
fish.
clue...
Yes?
Crab.
Just get it out of the way. Just so we could all move on. Find out what we
real answer is.
If we show you its teeth more close up, you might get a sense of it. It's pretty...
Ooh.
That's weird. Why would you have teeth like that?
To be on a show like this?
It's the sieve. It's like a baleen plate in a whale. It sieves out all the bigger things, so it actually just has, like a whale, krill.
Krill.
Krill. Yeah, just eats krill. And our next contender is...
Oh, I say.
Yes, that's called the Bagheera Kittling-eye spider. Does that ring a bell?
They kill tigers, don't they?
Because Bagha is the Hindi for tiger, and Bagheera is...
The Jungle Book.
Is in the Jungle Book, and is
Is
a
it a
panther. Panther. And hence the Kittling eye, so for some reason it's named after Rudyard Kipling.
Do you not think the spider looks like he's trying to be cute for the photograph?
He does, as he's posing.
Hi.
Spiders are known to be feeders on what?
Flies.
Flies. They're known to be carnivorous. But this is the only vegetarian spider on Earth.
Oh, no wonder he's cute.
Yeah, exactly. They actually go out of their way to avoid rather nasty-looking ants and hide round corners until they can get to their staple food, which is the buds of acacia trees.
Oh.
It's the
very
laughing
thorny.
stock of the spider community. So if you call yourself a spider, you're a disgrace.
Yes. They occasionally, to be fair, will eat meat. It's a bit like, I don't know, the spectacled bear.
If they've
will
had a
be
drink.
known to eat, you know...
You'll have a kebab on the way home.
They can't resist it. We don't
Let's have a kebab.
And we come finally to this chap.
Oh.
Piranha.
Is that
It looks like a piranha.
Oh.
It's a distant relative, though it lives in a completely different part of the world. It lives in Papua New Guinea. And is known as a pacu fish, but has a nickname, which might give you a hint. The teeth it has designed to deal with its main food source, which is seeds and nuts, which fall down from trees above, which quite a lot of fish do. But if you happen to be swimming naked, as many a Papua New Guinean might, it fully deserves its nickname, the ball cutter fish. There are at least 2 recorded examples of people dying from castration.
Oh, does
Because
that,
of
does that count as a background mort?
Yes, that's definitely a
Presumably you can
micromort.
tell as the screams get higher and higher.
Until they're beyond the range of human hearing. So they're pretty nasty.
Wow.
But what's the worst thing a swan can do to you?
Now, you can famously break a child's arm.
No, there's no recorded example ever. They have hollow bones, and the chances are they would break their own wings if they attempted to swipe hard on a human
Oh,
bone.
I've been cautious of them ever since primary school.
They're aggressive. They'll chase after you, and I dare say, if anyone rings in and says, I know someone who claims their arm was broken, the chances are almost certain.
The school liar.
Well, not that they're with a school line.
Well, you're running away and fell.
They might well have fallen
broke your
over.
arm.
Exactly. They are very aggressive. They can't break your arm, so they're... And now it's time for one of my knickknacks. Crikey, how did that get there?
What a marvellous outing for the word crikey.
Yes. I'm going to demonstrate to you how a chain reaction takes place. Imagine these are little atoms. And what I have is a series of mousetraps used for, obviously, killing mice. Fortunately, no mice will be harmed in this experiment. All you will see is the spectacular sight of random and explosive chain reaction caused by one atom touching another, which are all...
Ball number 16, the 8th appearance this year.
Yes. So, are you ready?
Yes.
Here we go. On that nuclear bombshell, we reach the final curtain. It's time for the scores. And how fascinating they are. Way out in front, as you might imagine, with her astonishing knowledge, is Sandy Toksvig on 14 points. Points-wise, one of the greatest debuts of all time. Trevor Noah has +9. And in third place with -6, Jason Manford. Colony astonished in last place, but with a deeply encouraging -28, Alan Davis. Thank you. And it only remains for me to thank Trevor, Jason, Sandy and Alan. Good night.